Hey everybody, Motorport59 here. Talk a little bit about California high-speed rail. I was reading an article this morning about the proponents of the high-speed rail being pissed off still that Gavin Newsom canceled the majority of that project as soon as he took office. And as I said at the time, I can't remember if I made a video about that or if I just wrote about it. But when Gavin Newsom looks at something and thinks it's too expensive, it's too expensive. If he thinks it's a bad idea money-wise, it's a bad idea money-wise, because he obviously doesn't have a problem with spending money. He left the section that was already under construction between Bakersfield, where I live, and Merced, which is about 150 miles north of here. Bakersfield and Merced. It's going to benefit no one. Even the article that I read said that when it was all done, it would be nothing more than an amusement ride. This thing was supposed to be San Diego to the Bay Area in its original conception. Then it was Los Angeles to the Bay Area, and now it's Bakersfield to Merced. And there's really nothing in Bakersfield or nothing in Merced, and not much in between other than Fresno. And it's a colossal waste of money. I'm going to do a piece on that for my other channel. I may put it on this channel too, but I'm going to go do a piece where I shoot some video out there where this thing is. They have built the bridge north of Fresno across the San Joaquin River, which is one of the largest, most expensive pieces of it. But the article didn't say, and I don't remember. I know that at one time this was already. It was supposed to cost, I believe, it was supposed to cost $11 billion originally. It's already over $20 billion, and $11 billion was the entire project. Everything done, finished, trains running. It's over $20 billion. $20 billion last time I looked at it. Over $20 billion, and it was supposed to have been completed, I believe, by 2020. Obviously, that's not going to happen. It's nowhere near being complete. They have laid no rail. They said that trains running on this is still at least, this article this morning, at least 10 years away. When I was still working for Union Pacific, I was in the signal department, and I was working up in Fresno one day with some consultants for the high-speed rail. We were going to have to do some things with our railroad that involved construction of the high-speed rail, and I got to talking to one of the guys there, and he was a former maintenance of way guy, the people who work on the tracks for Burlington Northern Santa Fe, and they were paying him, he said they were paying him six figures, and he said they were paying him almost $200,000 a year, and he said all he has done so far is be part of these groups. He doesn't really have much to add to what's going on. And I thought, as vehemently opposed as I was from the very beginning of the high-speed rail, I thought, well, you know what, if I'm going to have to pay taxes to pay for this, I can make some money off of it. So I went to the office in Fresno of the High-Speed Rail Authority and asked them about a signal consulting job. And that gal said, well, we haven't let any signal contracts yet. And I said, do you know when that might happen? And she said, it will be years. And this was I think I did that in 2017 is when I looked into it. One of the things is in the original proposal that they didn't talk about was how they were going to power this. This is supposed to be an electrified high-speed rail, and there's not enough room on California's grid to run something like this. It's just not there. They're going to have to build some power plants to make this happen, or they're going to have to purchase power from somewhere else, and that's just not likely right now, and probably not likely in the near future. And as far as building new power plants in California, I don't know if the environmentalists are going to go for that. Right now, the last I heard, the trains, the cars, the locomotives that are supposed to run this haven't even been built. We saw the concept that they bamboozled Schwarzenegger with and got him to sign this, but that has never been built. It's said that it will not, even if they are built, it will look nothing like those did, those models, those mock-ups did. And that the plan right now, since they don't know how they're going to power this, other than maybe dragging extension cords and plugging them in everybody's house along the way, they don't know how they're going to power this. So the plan right now is to just use the, I think the Acela high-speed diesels like they use on the East Coast, but those are only good for about 120, 130 miles an hour, something like that, maybe 150, but they probably won't get that out of these in regular service at those speeds and those distances. And it's not going to change anything. It will change nothing. They're going to essentially use Amtrak engines, Amtrak locomotives, to run this thing with. And the article that I read, back to the original point, is that when you read the headline, it sounded like Gavin Newsom was backpedaling and saying, okay, we'll go ahead and do this. But he wasn't. He's actually sticking to his guns about not spending any more money on this. And he had all these proponents and these environmental activists after him to expand this. But he said that it's just too costly and they're not going to do it. They still didn't know how they were going to get over the mountain, because they thought that they were just going to be able to tell Union Pacific, we're going to run either on your tracks or next to your tracks. And Union Pacific said, no, you're not. And so they don't even know how they're going to get from LA to Bakersfield. They can't do it over the Grapevine. There's just nowhere to do it. They would have to build a tunnel that was 15 miles long, and that's not going to happen. Newsom is telling them, and one of the big things that he said was that we don't have the money for this. We need to allocate that money to be better spent on regional and local projects, highways, whatever. I don't know, whatever money they wanted, whatever they're going to spend it on. And he was able to finagle some money and tell them, you know what, we're going to give you this money. Quit bugging me about the high-speed rail. I'll give you this money. And that's from that big surplus that California has. Also, when Donald Trump was in office, he told them, since you're not going to finish this project, we're going to take back the federal funds. And it was in the billions of dollars of federal funding that the rail project was going to get. He said, we're not giving you that if you're not going to finish it. And when Biden took office, he said, okay, you can keep the money. So, I don't know. There we go. A bunch of wasted federal money that's probably never going to get used for the high-speed rail. I'm sure they'll figure out some other way to spend it here in California, or the federal government will figure out some way to hide it somewhere else where they can do what they want with it. But in any case, you and I get to pay for it. You and I get to pay for every penny of that line. And they haven't even begun to consider laying rail yet. So, I don't know. What do you think about the California high-speed rail? I'm not opposed to high-speed rail. I'm not opposed to the California high-speed rail as a concept, but it's not the right time for it. Californians are not going to give up their cars, and people aren't going to ride this train. They're just, it's going to cost a fortune to ride it once it gets going. And it's going to be like Amtrak. It's going to be an endless money pit. It's going to waste billions of dollars every year that you and I are going to continue to have to pay for the rest of our lives. Okay, what do you think about that? Let me know in the comments below. Shoot me an email at motopoet59@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe. Click on the bell if you want to be notified of future content. We'll see you all later, but probably not on the high-speed rail.